last month's coup in Sudan and the war in Ethiopia.
This administration is very, very much involved. We have seen them involved in the crisis in Sudan. We have seen them deeply involved in trying to resolve the crisis in Ethiopia. And those are some of the things that the Secretary of State will be discussing with the Kenyan president today and perhaps tomorrow during his visit here in Kenya. Recently, President Kenyatta was in Ethiopia to meet with the leaders there.
Reports from China suggest this year will see another sharp fall in the number of babies born across the country, despite measures to encourage couples to have more children. Michael Bristow has the details.
Statistics released by local officials across China show the same trend, fewer births. The latest figures from the city of Chuzhou in Anhui province reveal the birth rate dropped by 21% in the first 10 months of this year. Officials in Anhui have already warned that the birth rate is falling off a cliff. Similar figures have emerged from the provinces of Henan, Shandong and Guizhou. This year, China allowed couples to have 3 children to counter the decline in the number of newborns.
Michael Bristow. World News from the BBC. More than 100 public figures have pledged support for 6 Palestinian civil rights groups that Israel recently designated as terrorist organisations. Supporters include the star of the Avengers films, Mark Ruffalo, the singer Peter Gabriel and the author Philip Pullman. Israel maintains that the NGOs are a front for a small left-wing militant faction that's carried out deadly attacks. The group denies the charge. Poland's defence minister has warned that the crisis on the Belarusian border could last for months after another night of attempted migrant crossings. Mariusz Błaszczak told local radio that the situation would not be resolved quickly. From Warsaw, here's Adam Easton.
Poland's defence minister said it was not a calm night on the border. In 2 separate incidents, a group of about 100 migrants and another of around 50 tried to force their way over. Poland's border guard agency said some migrants threw stones, and in the darkness, Belarusian servicemen shone a laser at Polish troops to blind them. Both crossing attempts were thwarted. Poland insists that thousands of mostly Middle Eastern migrants camped out in freezing temperatures with limited access to food and water will not be allowed through.
Aboriginal rights campaigners have condemned a bill introduced in the state of Western Australia to protect Indigenous heritage. They say they'll have no right of appeal against government decisions on industrial development plans. The legislation is an attempt to deal with the controversy caused by last year's destruction of ancient rock shelters by the mining firm Rio Tinto. Azerbaijan says 7 of its troops were killed in renewed fighting against Armenia on Tuesday. The Azeri Defence Ministry said another 10 soldiers were wounded. The neighbours agreed to a ceasefire after Moscow intervened late on Tuesday. The border clashes killed at least 15 Armenians. BBC News.
I'm Rihanna Sadiq and I'm a hospital chaplain in Birmingham in the English Midlands. More than 140,000 people have died of COVID in Britain alone, and well over 500,000 have had to be treated in hospital. The sickest had to be ventilated and were unconscious, some for weeks.
They set up a Zoom call to my family, basically to say goodbye to everyone. And that's
to the end of September. The commercial property giant British Land said this morning that it's back in the black as the return to the workplace picks up. The company, which owns the Meadow Hall shopping centre in Sheffield and the Broadgate office and retail complex in the City of London, said that rent collection at its retail portfolio was up 96% in the 6 months to the end of September, while it was entirely collected for its office spaces. Well, profits after tax came in at £370 million. That was compared with a loss of £730 million in the same period last year. And the global information services company Experian said this morning that its sales this year will be better than expected due to a surge in demand for its data. Experian, which supplies credit ratings and references, said it now had 122 million free memberships worldwide. Pre-tax profits for the 6 months to the end of September rose by 32% to $654 million. Our Slack has been described as probably the first enterprise software in history to convince people that it's cool. But just under a year ago, the workplace messaging business agreed to a $28 billion takeover by the cloud-based software giant Salesforce. Well, the deal completed in July, and I caught up with Stuart Butterfield, the co-founder and chief executive of Slack, to hear how things have gone since.
It's a bit of a process. There's thousands of people coming into an organization of tens of thousands, but it's really exciting to see the customer's response. And I've been speaking to a lot of them over the last couple of months. A huge number of large Salesforce customers who are excited about the deeper integrations with Slack, and a large number of existing Slack customers who are curious about what more we're going to be able to offer.
How have you been able to preserve the unique character of Slack now that you are, as you say, part of a much bigger organisation?
Well, we're run as an independent operating unit, and among the things that means is we have Slack recruiters recruiting for open positions at Slack, and we have our own onboarding process and management philosophy. I mean, luckily, the values of the companies are very compatible, so it's not like some huge stretch, but it is really important, I think, to maintain the independent characteristics in the culture.
You've just launched a new messaging feature called Clips. Is that something that was already in train before Salesforce bought you?
Yes, but it's one of the rare moments where we've deviated from our long-range plan, and that was really in response to what we saw in the pandemic, specifically the tendency to treat video calls, especially 30-minute video calls, as the hammer, and all of the world is a bunch of nails that look exactly the same. If we could take some of those synchronous meetings and make them asynchronous, it would free up a lot of people's time, give a lot more flexibility, and ultimately, I think, save a lot of effort.
You've mentioned the pandemic there. Obviously, use of Slack went up pretty sharply there. What sort of people were using it more, or is it right across the piece?
It was across the board. So obviously, we've had historical strength in media and in technology and a handful of other industries, but we've seen increased usage across the board. So that's retail, manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, government, and the intensity of the usage has also increased. I think people don't realize how big of a service Slack is. There's more messages sent on Slack every day than there are tweets on Twitter. And at peak times, we deliver 300,000 messages per second.
Per second?
Yeah, it's a lot of back and forth.
That's absolutely astonishing. What about more generally the point everyone makes now about hybrid working, the things that have changed? Do you think this is a permanent change in the way that we work?
I do think so. I mean, ultimately, it's a question that the market decides, just like the market decides compensation for employees. But there does seem to be a large enough number of people who really value the newfound flexibility. And it's not that people don't want to go to the office. I think you really have to separate what's been going on for the last 18 months with what we anticipate in a future where we've kind of come to terms with the pandemic. And it's not necessarily about working from home, but it is about a little bit more autonomy in people's working hours. And from an employer perspective, being able to select talent from around the whole world, as opposed to a handful of locations where you have offices, I think it's a huge step forward for both sides.
And I gather you've embraced hybrid working yourself. I think you've told executives they only need to work in the office 3 days a week. Is that right?
Yeah, it was actually the maximum they're allowed to is 3 days a week. And the rationale for that is just if all the employees see the executives are in the office every single day, I think they're going to take a lesson from that, which is I must be in the office in order to be successful and to advance my career. And that's not the message we want to send.
Have you noticed any difference in the way people use Slack once they've gone onto a hybrid working model? Is it very different from someone who's in the office 5 days a week?
I think it is for most people. Way back 2015, Slack was I guess probably about 2 years old, a year and a half old. People would come to our office and remark about how quiet it was because most of the conversation that could happen on Slack did. And the reason for that was, I guess, twofold. One is you weren't interrupting the people around you. But the much more important one was people who weren't there in the moment could still participate in the conversation if it happened in a channel instead. So if they had been out meeting a customer or in some other meeting, they could come back in 5 or 10 minutes and be able to participate. And that makes a huge difference. So we're starting to see more maturation of the kind of usage. And that's definitely across the board.
Now, you've raised a complaint more than a year ago with the European Commission about the way that Microsoft bundles its rival Teams product into Office 365. I mean, it looks like the Commission are starting to take that seriously. Are they moving rapidly enough for your liking?
Yeah, I mean, I have no news on the topic, but it is in the hands of the Commission now. They're definitely driving the process.
Is that potentially going to be beneficial for Slack, though, if Microsoft are ordered to stop doing this?
I think it's beneficial for the whole industry, to be honest.
Go on, why is that?
Oh, just more interoperability. And I'm not going to draw too many charts with my fingers like this, but all of the charts for how many software vendors a company has, how much they spend on software per year, how much time employees spend using software, all of those for the last couple of decades have been up and to the right, and we think that'll continue. One of the side effects of that is any specific software vendor is an ever diminishing percentage of the customer's total spend. And that means that interoperability is much more important than it was, say, 10 or 20 years ago. And I think it'll be even more important 10 or 20 years in the future. So I think the thing that benefits the whole industry and, of course, the customers is the highest degree of interoperability of all of these platforms.
That was Stuart Butterfield from Slack speaking to me a little earlier. Now, the Canadian mining company Lucara claims to be responsible for unearthing some of the largest diamonds in the world. It's just reported a 57% rise in quarterly sales. Contributing to that was its platform Clara, which tracks stones all the way from the mine to the shop front. Well, joining me now is the company's chief executive, Ira Thomas, who's the only female chief executive in the diamond industry. Ira, very good morning to you. Very nice to see you. Now, obviously, rough diamond sales have really taken off over the last 12 months. I think we're at an 8-year high. Where do you see the price going from here?
Yeah, it's been terrific. We're finally into a strong diamond market after a pretty volatile period. We're feeling very optimistic about diamond prices because the global supply of rough diamonds is actually on the decline, really owing to the fact that some of the largest producers are now nearing their natural end of life. So we see diamond prices being supported from here on, and we're very excited about where the business can go.
Contributing to the scarcity, would you say, has it been a lack of investment over recent years from some of the players in the industry?
Partially. I mean, diamonds are incredibly difficult to find. They're rare. There's fewer than 25 diamond mines on the planet operating today. And they are difficult and require a lot of capital to explore for. So yes, we have been underinvested in the space for quite a long time. And again, that's compounded by the fact that some of the largest producers are now having to invest significantly more capital to extend mine life, or they're naturally just getting to the end of their existing resources.
Tell me how you're coping with inflation right now, Ira. I imagine labour costs are going up. The cost of energy is certainly going up. Is that impacting on your costs?
It's definitely starting to impact on costs. Fortunately for Lucara, we are a high margin producer. We're located in Botswana. We've been in production for 12 years, and we've been able to anticipate most of the cost increases that we've been experiencing. But we have, again, come through kind of a more challenging time for diamond prices, and the fact that diamond prices have really strengthened is to really support our business and our margins, particularly as we are now investing $500 million in an expansion effort at our mine, which will extend our mine life in Botswana out to at least 2040. So we're really investing for the future, and excited about the prospects of mining diamonds from Karowe for a very long time.
Now, I mentioned in the introduction you have a platform called Clara, which essentially brings buyers and sellers together, and it adds to traceability. What was the motivation for you launching that?
It was really about recognizing that the way we sell diamonds hasn't changed in over 100 years. It's inefficient, it's inflexible, it's an antiquated sales mechanism, and we felt that there was an opportunity to really integrate and incorporate new technology to make this more efficient. That was the primary push. But of course, the secondary benefit, as you've just pointed out, is that it really creates transparency. And consumers today want to know where their diamonds are coming from, and that they're supporting responsible businesses that care about the environment and their social goals, and these companies are well governed. So this is something that we very much subscribe to as a Canadian producer. This is all part of our value system, that and certainly at Karowe. And so Clara just became a natural, I guess, growth opportunity for Lucara. It's not a mining business, but it is a business that involves diamonds, and it really allowed us to bolt on asset diversification within Lucara and create a platform that has been incredibly well received. I would say the silver lining for COVID for us really has been Clara, because it does allow buyers to purchase rough diamonds without having to leave the comfort of their own office.
All right, before I let you go, how much of a threat to your business longer term are lab-grown diamonds?
You know, we don't see lab-grown diamonds as a threat. They're really different businesses. Lab-grown diamonds are obviously cheaper, but when it comes to purchasing diamonds and diamond jewelry to celebrate life's most important commemorative moments, we see no substitute for natural diamonds. And, you know, what we want to do as an industry is make sure we continue to get our stories out, particularly all of the, you know, the benefits that come from natural diamond mining, particularly around jobs and investment in local communities and within the sustainable businesses that we are building in and around our operations in all parts of the world. So that is something that we're continuing to message. And again, I see these as kind of end members of a market, and they're not mutually exclusive. But at the end of the day, there is no substitute for natural diamond when you want to celebrate those important moments in your life.
All right, Ira Thomas, we have to leave it there. Good to talk to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right, we're just going to a bit of breaking news now. The Prime Minister's father, Stanley Johnson, has been out and about this morning, and a couple of reporters have caught up with him and asked him some questions about the allegations from the Conservative MP Caroline Noakes that he slapped her on the backside a few years ago. Here's what happened.
So have you got any comments at all on any of these allegations?
Can I not ask? Isn't that behaviour unacceptable? What are you going to do about it?
Not a lot from Stanley Johnson there as he was getting into his car, but no doubt we'll have more on that throughout the morning here. Anyway, Amazon says it's going to stop accepting payments made using UK-issued Visa credit cards from January. The online retailer said it was because of what it called the high fees that Visa charges for processing credit card transactions. Well, Helen Ann Smith, our business correspondent, is here. Helen Ann, this is basically one big company bullying another big company, isn't it?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Ian, and the consumer left with a bit of an inconvenience if you're a consumer that uses a Visa credit card with a company like Amazon. But I think, as you say, it is something of a power play. It broke this morning when Amazon emailed out its UK-based customers saying that from January the 19th, it will no longer accept Visa credit cards registered in the UK as part of the process, and said specifically that it was because of the high prices that Visa charge for those payments. And it followed up with a statement essentially saying that with time, the technical advances means that these costs should be going down, and in fact, they haven't been. So really making a very sort of powerful statement there. Visa responded in turn with quite a punchy statement. They reassured customers that they would be able to use those credit cards over the Christmas period, but then went on to say we're incredibly disappointed and that when consumer choice is limited, nobody wins, Visa said there. So clearly very, very unhappy about this. Merchant service charges on credit cards are no new thing. They vary depending on what type of credit card you're using. They're higher for the merchants if you're using a commercial card. And while there's been debate before about whether those charges are right and whether the consumer should be paying for it using a certain surcharge, it's very rare that there's a company that has the power that Amazon have to put their foot down and make a statement that they're simply not going to accept it anymore. It'll be a huge loss of a chunk of business for Visa. So it'll be very interesting to see how Visa go on to respond after this.
All right, thanks, Helen Ann. Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll be taking a look at how the markets are doing this Wednesday morning. Don't go away.
Well, Liam was diagnosed with high-risk neuroblastoma cancer a day after I had Kylie. So I'd just given birth, and the day after Kylie was born, Liam was diagnosed, and he had to start chemotherapy that day. The chances of survival were extremely low, 40 to 50% chance, and he went through the most grueling treatment. There was high dose chemotherapy to shrink the tumor. Then there was a 6.5 hour operation to remove the tumor. After that, he had a bone marrow harvesting, and then high dose chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant to try and get his body back up and running quickly. It was the most horrific experience, and it's so traumatic for parents to go through all of this. And we found out about a vaccine that could potentially save his life. And the only problem was it was very, very expensive. It was around £250,000. We didn't know how we were going to come up with the sum of money. We just knew we had to have this vaccine for Liam.
Your child is going through this frontline treatment, and they're really quite poorly. They're quite ill. And then the vaccine has to be given, at pretty much about 3 weeks after the treatment ends, the frontline treatment. So, you have to do this fundraising, during, some quite serious cancer treatment, and you've got a small window to really raise the money. We had some help from some really wonderful people. Charlie Holmes and myself obviously paddled across the English Channel from France to England. We had some wonderful support from people really all over the UK as well as the world.
Welcome back. Now, Sage provides accounting and payroll software to small and medium-sized businesses. Today, it's reported an 8% drop in full-year operating profits to £373 million. That, says the company, is because it's been investing more in its cloud offer. Well, joining me now is Steve Hare, the Chief Executive of Sage. Steve, very good to see you this morning. Now, the number that jumped out from me in your results today is that now 70% of your revenues come from subscription. Where would you like that to be in a year from now?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, we're driving that up, both the subscription and also the amount of our revenue that comes from Sage Business Cloud, which has now reached that milestone of £1 billion. And over the next 12 months, we'll continue to see that accelerating. And actually, probably in 3-4 years' time, I'd like to see that up at the 90% level, so that the vast majority of what we're doing in Sage is on subscription and is coming from the cloud.
And for the uninitiated, Steve, we should probably say that's because it makes your earnings more predictable and more stable.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely more predictable, and also for the customer, the same thing. The customer is able to plan. They pay a monthly or an annual subscription fee, and they know, for their own planning, they know exactly how much the service is costing them.
Now, you're looking to broaden the product offering away from simply accounting and payroll services. What sort of things do you have in mind?
Yeah, I think as we look both for slightly larger businesses where the customer is really the CFO, and also down to the smaller sole trader, we're just looking across the whole of what happens in a back office. What is it that people spend their time on that has nothing really to do with running their business? We want to release people so that they can run their business, and in the case of finance people, they can look forward rather than backwards. So it's about offering, whether it be payroll, HR, accounting, or anything to do with automating and making digital flows of activity in the back office. And actually, interestingly, your conversation earlier with Stuart from Slack, that interoperability is really important. The digital network is all about creating collaboration and relationships with other people with whom you're working, but making that automated and digital so that it can all happen faster and more smoothly.
Now, looking at the numbers today, Steve, it looks like North America is the fastest growing region for you. Is that just a function of the economy and the fact that it's outpacing Europe?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. We're well positioned in the North American market, but it is absolutely the case that the North American market, particularly for software, has come back faster, post-pandemic than any other part of the markets that we operate in.
No, this is the first chance we've had to speak to you since you announced last month that you were cutting 800 jobs around the world. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, so this is part of simplifying and really, helping the company, enable the company to grow faster. So we have taken those 800 roles out, and we've reinvested all of the savings from that back into the business. So the idea now is we are really investing to scale and grow the company, both in terms of revenue and in terms of earnings. And you said at the beginning that this year our operating profit has dropped, and that was something we signaled. We said that was going to happen, but from here on now we intend to increase both revenue and profit.
And can you rule out any further job losses, Steve?
Look, we're in a very dynamic world. So at the moment we're focused on growth, and hopefully as part of growing, we will, we're hiring all the time, but you can obviously never rule these things out.
Now, obviously, a hot topic in the business world right now is London's ability or otherwise to attract tech IPOs. You've defended London as a place to do tech IPOs. I just wonder what your reflections are on recent events at the Hut Group, for example, where the share price is more or less halved, I think, over the last few months.
Yeah, I think you're right. I personally think London is a great place to do business. The UK is a great place to do business. And I think, you have to work hard, spend time with your shareholders, spend time with your stakeholders. And, I can only talk for Sage. We've invested heavily over the last 3 years since I became chief executive. As you said, we brought the profitability down, and I've had the overwhelming support of my shareholders to do that. So, I think this is a great place to do business. I think there are great shareholders who are very supportive of taking a long-term view. But as a chief executive, you have to not be too worried about your short-term share price performance.
All right, Steve, always good to talk to you. Appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bit of breaking news to bring you. There's been an update in the last few minutes from the head of counter-terrorism policing Northwest, that's Russ Jackson, and he has supplied some more details of the Liverpool bomber Imad al-Suleiman. He was born in Iraq, and officers believe he had been buying parts for his homemade device since at least April. More on that as we get it. Well, the pound rose earlier this morning when the higher than expected inflation numbers hit the screens. Sterling is currently more or less unchanged right now, actually, against the US dollar. It's up just under 1/10 of 1%.
And send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out.
He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of digging the hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Body is your ma. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And I sabi you know.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
This is Starr Radio
UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You know how I feel. Sun in the sky. You know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Hey there, this is Archie, and this is Starr Radio.
to Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so let me say a massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We salute you all and welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. Today is the 17th day of November, the year 2021. With the time now 10:40 exactly. From the UK here, but wherever you are listening to us from, I want to welcome you. It's going to be a great day, and I believe so. Playing in the background, something from the Daughters of Glorious Jesus, one of the oldies. Yeah, you are, yeah. We glorify you, or we give you the prize. Giving thanks and praise to the Almighty God who's given us the opportunity. So you can do me a massive favor. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well. But once again, welcome. But let me take this opportunity to say good morning to my colleagues, Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, Mr. Francis Guy, Kojo D, and Felix all the way in Aberdeen as well. Massive morning to you all, gentlemen. Hey, Comfort Haven in Minnesota, I say massive good morning to you, lady. To those of you in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, on the African continent as well. Those of you in Nigeria, Uganda, Ghana, South Africa. I salute you all and I welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. As we say good morning goes to also Francis Omega Namani. Yeah, also, I hope you are doing very, very well. We missed you yesterday, but I know that you were busy doing stuff like that. But welcome to the show. Olaru Wanjo. Yeah, it is some time now. I hope you are doing good, Olaru. Morning to you. And this is a morning to Olakunle. Okay, if it's the first time of tuning in to listen to us on Wednesdays, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as global trotting. And then we continue at 11 o'clock with updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Then at 11:30, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. At 12 o'clock exactly, the curtains are brought down for the first part of the program where I take you straight to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. Then after that, at 1 o'clock, the curtains are brought down for the end of the program. So, in a gist, that is what is going to be happening today. But do me a massive favor, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. If you are sitting, sit very comfortably. You are standing, hold on to something. But all in all, get yourself ready. It might be or it could be bumpy, but you are sure of one thing: arriving at your destination in peace. And if the story is making the headlines from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, I promise you, we'll do our best to touch on them. So, continue to send your stories in as well. Of course, I am.
This is the morning show. This is the morning show with Archie.
Okay, now let's move on. The quote for the day says, when you notice something good about people, compliment them or praise the good job they've done. When you notice something good about people, compliment them or praise the good job they've done. Yeah, it is good to do so. So I compliment you. I say thank you to each and everyone, especially those of you who listen to us or watch us live from the African continent and the Caribbean area where data costs and I'm less. Thank you. And let me say again, happy birthday to Mr. Bernard Bruce. It's your birthday today, young man. May God bless you and continue to expand your territory. And may all your heart desires come into being. And to Reverend Michael Esiama as well, my big Reverend, a happy birthday to you, man of God. May God continue to bless you and enlarge your territory. Okay, now let's crack on. If you celebrate your birthdays or any special day, we celebrate you and we say congratulations there as well. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. On to the weather front. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather front here in London and the southeast of England. Now, a fine and dry afternoon with plenty of sunshine. There will be a few patches of cloud in the afternoon, but it will be dry and bright for most. Now, this evening will be dry with some clear spells. Tonight, it will turn cloudier, but there will still be a few clearer breaks in places. A chilly night expected as well. When it comes to the top temperature is going to be 12 degrees. The lowest is going to be 4 degrees. UV level is going to be low, pollution low, sunset 16:09 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:21 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast for you today for London and the southeast of England. You might want to share with us what is happening in your area, and I promise you we're gonna make sure we share it with our worldwide listeners. You might not know to benefit somebody traveling somewhere, some way, somehow. Okay, let's take a quick break. We come back and I bring you the travel updates. Stay tuned.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Check it out. Keep your eyes on the road.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio travel update that comes away every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:46. Now, so what is your travels like this morning? If you are in London, yes, the underground, apart from the Waterloo and City line that has got planned closures, all the others, I'll tell you that I've got good service. Now, London Overground, TFL Rail, DLR, London Tramline, good service there as well. Now, let's move on straight to the river bus where it's all good service there. Good news there as well. Now, moving on straight to the National Rail as well. On the National Rail, Northern Rail has got special service, ScotRail, special service, and Transport for Wales, special service there as well. But keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigated, I promise. Our bond, the Starr Radio travel update that comes away every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:47. Now, let's come to the final segment of the travel update. That's the major roads in London and a few incidents here and there. A12 has got closures, A4 closures, Central London Red Routes closures there as well. And as I would say all the time, well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Still playing in the background. Here you are here by the Daughters of Glorious Jesus. Okay, let me say once again, good morning to Olayomi Joy. He says, cornered and calmed and subdued, yet no leader is speaking on Yoruba people current helplessness. Hashtag Yoruba Nation now. Okay, so you can send your comments and how you feel about issues that is going on in your area, wherever you are. But when it comes to Nigeria, when it comes to the updates, whilst we are going global trotting, today we're going to be looking at, yes, Lagos NSAS report. Federal government lists loopholes. UN, US, others demand sanctions. Okay, the United States government, as well as several human rights groups, including Amnesty International, on Tuesday, called for actions on the report of the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Restitution for victims of the SARS-related abuses and other matters, which stated that at least 9 persons were killed and 39 others injured at the Lekki Toll Plaza on October 20, 2020. Some other stories that we'll be looking at. Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has appointed his son Babajide as the Director General, Performance and Project Implementation Monitoring Unit of the state. Well, is it a conflict of interest there? Somebody will say, is it nepotism? But others will think that, well, if it's true meritocracy, by merit, then that's okay. But what do you think about that? Now, President Buhari has felicitated with former President Goodluck Jonathan on his 64th birthday today, November 17, 2021, describing him as an apostle of peace and democracy in Africa. All right. So those are some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria. But now let's start from here in the UK. Well, breaking news coming through. The Liverpool bomber planning attack since April. The Liverpool bomber Ahmad Al-Swilmin began making purchases for his attack in April. Counter-terror police believe. And then some other stories. UK price soar at fastest rate for almost 10 years. Inflation surges to 4.2% on rising fuel and energy costs, paving the way for an interest rate rise. And Johnson to face questions over MP's second job row. The MPs will also vote later on proposals for changing the rules governing MPs working as consultants. And this is about antibiotics. Now, warning of antibiotic-resistant infection pandemic, antibiotics should be taken only when really needed and not for coughs, colds, or sore throats. Well, the health experts will be telling you that all the time. You say, I want antibiotics. They're nah, unless you are dying, they won't give you that. Well, Amazon needs to stop accepting Visa credit cards in UK. The online giant says high Visa fees mean it won't process credit card transactions from 19th of January. So now you might end up using your debit card. A family is pleading over missing woman as searches continue. Police suspect a search for 32-year-old Claire Holland, missing since 2012, is a murder inquiry. Well, maybe somebody knows something about it. Why not share it? Starr Radio UK. To other parts of the world, deadly storm cuts transport links around Vancouver. A woman has died in what one official described as the worst weather storm in century. Is it the environmental pollution that is causing this as well? Well, Delhi shut schools and colleges as air turns toxic. The decision was announced after several parts of the city recorded severe air quality. Bodies have been spotted 11 years after coal mine disaster. Human remains have been pictured in the Pike River mine 11 years after 29 men lost their lives there. Starr Radio UK. Let me say good morning to Ismaila Ajadi Subaru. And Olayomi has posted another comment. No matter how long you hide the truth, it will reveal itself someday. It's the law of nature. It is over Starr Radio UK. U.S. Congress to punish lawmaker over violent clip. Republican Paul Goza tweeted a video depicting sword attacks on Joe Biden and a congresswoman. Well, that has to be punished. That has to be punished, of course. There's no two ways about that. Crypto is making some headlines or head news this morning. Now, LM Lakers home is to be renamed after crypto firm. The Staples Center in Los Angeles will be renamed the Crypto.com Arena in a $700 million deal. Whoa. Okay. Oh, Starr Radio UK. Israelis have been held over photos of Turkish leaders' home. Natalie and Modi Oknin were arrested after taking photos of the president's residence in Istanbul. Why is it a forbidden area? Forbidden area? It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Global Trotted. 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Is at 11 o'clock. We have Mr. Olayomi joining in to bring you more in depth on some of the stories that I've touched on from Nigeria. Now, still looking at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. An Afghan judge Afghan judges in UK fear for those left behind. Well, maybe the Taliban might have a change of heart and not do anything untoward towards their own people. Well, when it comes to the African continent, now Kenya is on high alert after Uganda attack. This comes days after 3 prisoners sentenced for terror-related charges escaped. So are they on a verge of vengeance? Or a mission? South Africa has declared 4 days mourning for declared the national mourning period starts on Wednesday. That's today. Tonight, that's Wednesday evening to Sunday evening. That is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Some of the stories making the rounds there. Still on the African continent. I'm feeling the music this morning. How are you feeling? Well, so looking at some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria as well, it says that the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture has described as fake news reports claiming that Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, recanted his statement that people did not die at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos State. Really? The minister had always insisted that no one died after soldiers invaded the Lekki toll gate in Lagos on October 2020 during the NSAS protests and shot at protesters. Why do you think it's about time Lai Mohammed is let off or resigns? Mohammed described incident as massacre without bodies, insisting that not a single body has been produced or a single family has come out to claim their family member was killed at the toll gate. Interesting. And so some other stories making the rounds in Nigeria. Implement panel recommendations. Falana urges Sanwo-Olu. The senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, had urged the Lagos state government to implement the recommendations of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry set up to investigate cases of police brutality and other SARS-related crimes. Are they going to see to do that, implement it? Well, Larry Wanjo has posted another comment. They say, well, to ignore evil is to become accomplice to it. If you ignore evil, you become an accomplice to it. So you see it, say something about it or do something about it. It is Starr Radio UK. In Ghana today, Operator presents the 2022 budget today. Any good news there? Well, interestingly, Ghana is still on the list of highly indebted countries? They call it HIPIC. But someone saying that, well, it is the former time during the President Kufuor's time where he took Ghana to HIPIC so that we can get some bailout there. But others are saying that, well, the World Bank wouldn't do that, or the Bretton Woods institutions wouldn't be doing that. They'll be looking at your current state of finance. And might have placed you on that. What do you think about all that? Well, some people have complained about the donation by the former president, that's Mahama, to the tidal wave communities in the Volta region. Well, what do you think? If government is not getting up, we know government is doing, they'll be using their various wings to do something about it. And they decide that, well, as a party, let's go there. After all, they've been good to us in the past, so why not? Now, what is wrong with all that? It is All Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to a minute after 11. And we're going to be having Mr. Olayomi Koike now on. So wherever you are, don't go away. It's going to be a very, very wonderful morning here today on the morning show, the Wednesday edition. But don't you worry, during the latter part of the program, I'll make sure I bring you that tune. But for now, we have to cross over to our North London studios where we have the one and only Mr. Olayomi Koike, who is geared up or ready to fire on all cylinders to bring you nothing but updates from Nigeria. But bear with me whilst I put him on the broadcast. Somebody will say, where is he? Yeah, he's here. So stay tuned. But remember that this evening as well, there's going to be the Niger Voices. I bet you he's going to be talking about the Lekki Toll Gate massacre there as well, because there's lots that have happened on that front. I remember the first anniversary, he was at the Nigerian High Commission to bring you a live broadcast from there. Protest was good. But what do you think? We're going to be bringing you more on that front. But let me say good morning to Sotikari Ayodele Tunde. Good morning, comrade, and good morning to you, Sotikari. Hope you are doing very, very well. But now let's cross over to North London Studios where Mr. Olayomi Koike is. Yummy morning.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to you, Frank. Good morning to all our listeners and every other presenter on the Starr Radio UK. It's exactly 2 minutes past 11, and I say good morning. On the window view, I could see a bit of aircraft traveling, and the weather onto your outside, you will definitely know whether it is cold, but it looks a bit shiny. But I say good morning to those that have joined us all the way from the continent where so much is happening.
Yes. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I've just had the breakfast. I'm doing very well. It's good to be back again as usual. Like you said, it is the Wednesday the show Niger Voices. We will definitely be on air later on at just about 1800 hours.
Okay, let's crack on then. Now, interestingly, one that will talk, the Lekki Toll Gate massacre and the inquiry that has been done and the report that has come out is virtually going everywhere across the globe. I mean, we have the US, we have the UK and other advanced countries saying that no, you have to make sure that you see to implement what is going on there. Some are thinking of even placing sanctions on Nigeria if they don't do anything about that because of the stance of government at the time, especially Lai Mohammed with what he said that, well, they say there is massacre, but there are no bodies to show for. Now, what is Nigeria looking at today?
Well, you're quite right. I think it's going to be a test of time, for the federal government to be able to now defend what their own part was and what role the government of the Nigeria, of the federal government played in what we now know as a massacre. I mean, using the word massacre means, multiple numbers of people that were killed in a particular situation like what happened at the Lekki toll gate. I mean, the federal government, after listening to the army, the chief of defense staff, in terms of his own view on this particular incident that we are discussing, which I might see if we can get the audio of the soundtrack of what he has to say. Let's hear what he has to say in his view when he was interviewed yesterday in Nigeria.
But I'd like to indicate that the normal procedure is to have such a report submitted to the convening authority, and then there will be a white paper that will be presented based on which one can make informed comments. But whatever it is currently, I'd like to indicate that the armed forces of Nigeria is a professional armed forces. We are pupilled by Nigerians and remain committed to constitutional mandates. We do not at this point think that Nigerians should make disparaging remarks regarding the armed forces of Nigeria, in the sense that we are a professional armed forces. If there are issues within the ambit of the provisions, it should not be right to disparage, men and women who have worked so hard to ensure that the territorial integrity of this nation is kept intact. So in the meantime, until I see the full text of the report, I may not be able to, but I can assure you that the armed forces of Nigeria are disciplined, well disciplined, and we do not...
So the armed forces are disciplined. Whether they were disciplined to have been told that the innocent Nigerians that were protesting, which is allowed under the constitution, that even so many Nigerians disagree in the first instance with that constitution, but they have the right. There was just too many allegations, and also, not allegations, rather, there were too many contradictory evidence base. The cameras were tampered with. The scene of the crime was swept up before 8 o'clock the next day in the morning. And it is just so many things that it might take some time before we review it. I know we are not really, we're pressed of time this morning, but at 1800 hours, we're going to be reviewing all that. But for now, let me come back again to you in the studio, because America government, as well as several human rights groups, including Amnesty International, yesterday called for action on the report of the Lagos State Judiciary Panel of Inquiry, and also the incident that took place October last year, 2020.
Yes, listeners, updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios. At the moment, we're looking at the NSAS inquiry report that has come through. I mean, proving that, well, some people were massacred there. Now, the command, military high command, whoever you spoke to, interview that we did play, or statement that we did play a moment ago, was talking about the fact that some Nigerians were making disparaging comments about the military and say that, well, military, we are all like 100%. While he was putting it across, shows that 100% they are good, but that means they are not admitting there are some bad nuts in there. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, in every institution and in every sector of the country, especially in Nigeria as an example, we will always have the bad egg. But the bad egg should have been removed, especially that would have not led to the situation where we saw, hundreds of people. I mean, in that report, 96 dead bodies attached as NSAS, not yet been claimed by their family members, is still in the mortuary. So as you said, you would have expected that, changes should have been done in advance when people were crying out loud, with evidence base of people being killed and people being extorted. And this is still happening as we speak after the old NSAS a year after.
Now, what has been, I mean, looking at Nigeria today now, what has been the the reaction of the general public? What are they saying? Apart from what they say that they are making disparaging comments about the military, what are they saying? If you listen on the ground, what are people saying?
Well, you need to be on the online and offline with the kind of engagement that I say is still trending. As I speak to you right now, yesterday NSAS was a #1. As of today, it's still trending as #2, and #3, Lekki massacre is still trending. So that tells you that more Nigerians are probably still digesting, these almost 306 pages of evidence base that was put out, yesterday, and a lot of people are still talking about it. I'm just looking at some of the images here of people, victims, still down from bullets, from the injuries. I mean, these are injuries and scar that will be for a very long time. I mean, this particular person, Asaolu Samuel, was shot in the leg, still taking treatment a year after. This person is Joshua Samuel, shot in the heart, still taking treatment. This other person, Solomon Age, shot in the neck and arm, still taking treatment. And the last one is Theophilus David, still can't walk, uses walking stick, lost his job due to his condition.
Well, do Nigerians believe that a white paper that will be released by the government will address that, will appease them?
Well, even the federal government and the Nigerian army refused to comment on the report which has been submitted to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The panel that was led by Justice Dora Okuwobi also recommended that all the soldiers, excluding the Major General Omata, who were deployed at the Lekki toll gate, should be made to face appropriate disciplinary action, stripped off of their rank, dismissed as they were not fit and proper to serve in the public or security services. How that is going to happen, we are waiting to see whether the federal government, the Nigerian army, the voice that we played at the beginning was the voice of the defense minister, the chief of army staff, and you can already say that he says he hasn't looked at the evidence base, the report yet. But you wonder what he's been doing, because these were his men that went in there. And last year, the one that was there prior to this was Buratai.
Yeah.
They even denied that it must have been some individual that put on the army uniform and went on there and killed the innocent Nigerians. But now, we now know that this evidence that we have point the finger at the Lagos State government, the federal government, and the Nigerian military that killed innocent Nigerians, raising their flag, singing the Nigerian anthem, and they were massacred.
Well, listen to Starr Radio UK. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Kweke in our North London studios. I'm Archie here. Okay, now let me read a comment from Olayomi and Joe, and then we'll go to some of the other stories making the rounds. But Harry, you see what you are doing to Nnamdi Kanu and Igboho now? That is precisely what we, the people of Nigeria, will do to you and pot belly. Oh my goodness, we retire at the International Criminal Court, ICC, after 2023. When you ignoble tenure ends, now God willing, my apologies, you will not retire in peace to Daura. Rather, you retire in pieces to prison to pay the price for the killings of unarmed people and SARS protesters during the Lekki massacre. To prove that Buhari personally ordered the Lekki massacre, just rewatch his June 10, 2021 Arise TV interview where he accused the NSAS protesters of wanting to remove him. So he goes on to further to say Buhari killed them out of self-interest. Now Sotikari says, here in Niger, if you want to know the real definition of evil people, bad politicians, full of heart of devil, you don't need to go to anywhere. There in Nigeria, compare prices, old and new stuff. He goes on a bit further there, but because of time, let's go straight to Yomi for some of the other stories making the rounds. Over to you, Yomi.
Yes, thank you very much. It is still your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Is exactly 30 minutes past. How we recover looted billions from United Kingdom and others. This is coming from the federal government of Nigeria. According to the headline, the federal government has given insight into how preventive measures adopted to check on corruption, manage and recover stolen assets, and brought about the repatriation of the stolen funds stashed away overseas. Such funds include 325 million, from the Switzerland, $311 million, from United States, 5.4 million pounds, from Europe, from Northern Ireland, 4 million pounds, and another $200 million from United Kingdom. All these were what the Attorney General of the Federation of Justice, Abubakar Malami, according to statement that was issued on Tuesday by Special Assistant on Media Publicity, Dr. Umar, who at the annual public lecture organized by the Center for Media and Peace Initiative in New York, United States, on Monday. So you can see the amount of money that keeps being looted and yet is coming back to the country. Let's hope it will be used properly for those that also will need it. Also, the minister backed ASU on earn allowance sharing formula. We know that ASU is back on again, but the Minister of State for Education, Chukwumeka, has backed the Academic Staff Union of University over the proposed sharing formula for the 22.1 billion earn allowance for the university and workers. Let's quickly touch some of the more other headlines. We're still watching the Starr Radio UK Morning Show, where we look at all the news coming out of Nigeria. Not a very good news as this one. 2 died as Ondo commercial motorcyclists protest killing of colleagues by policemen. Last week, it was in Lagos. A police officer literally stabbed an innocent person, and also more people end up killed. About 4 of them in somewhere in Lagos, in Alimosho local government, where the officer has stabbed this Keke Napel driver because of 100 naira, and that went into a kind of a chaos and anarchy within the state of that particular local government axis. The police reinforced, and another person that ended up to become 5 people were killed. A 14-year-old boy was killed, and according to the story that we'll listen and we watch the video, he was the one actually taking care of his blind mother each time, he has to do so. But now the mother has nobody to look after her. Ebonyi drivers bite up and swallow task force members' finger. Very sad news. You can see the kind of frustration when it comes to the Lagos road or the Ebonyi road. A commercial driver yesterday bite off the finger of a task force member in Ebonyi State to escape arrest. The driver also swallowed the task force. The finger of the task force member identified as Iboko Kane. The incident occurred at the Onibonyi Junction in Abakaliki Metropolis when the Ministry of Capital City Development and the task force team were on an inspection tour within the state capital to stop the illegal parking and loading. Recall that the commercial transport companies operating in the state had accumulated relocated to Akubura Central Park, a new park provided for them by the state government. The driver, it was further learned, was among those spotted. So it seems not a very good one. The victim was taken to the emergency unit of Alex Ikwemi Federal University Teaching Hospital, but we hope he will be able to get back as quickly as possible. He said it's very unfortunate that the driver can attack a law officer who is trying to organize the state to the point of chopping off his finger. This is terrible, unaccepted, and barbaric. So again, these are the kind of frustration on the road network in Nigeria. Let's take 2 more because of time constraint, and I'm going to come back again to you quickly in the studio. It's exactly the birthday of the former President Goodluck Jonathan, and President Muhammadu Buhari has facilitated with former President Goodluck Jonathan on his 64th birthday today, November the 17th, describing him as an apostle of peace and democracy in Africa. I'm sure that will probably be so, since he was able to allow the election to go free, because there was a lot of intention that the 2015 election would have become one of the chaotic aspects of things in Nigeria. And then I come back now to you in the studio. It is still Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi keep bringing you updates from Nigeria, from our North London studios. I'm Archie here, and quite interesting. But let me ask you a question when it comes to the police brutality against the populace. Let me talk about that. Now, you talked about last week when you were saying that a policeman stabbed someone. Now, the question is, are Nigerian police allowed to carry knives, or maybe he was using a screwdriver? What how did they stab the person, or use a broken bottle?
No, it was actually a knife. I mean, they are not allowed to carry a knife, but as you know, these are policemen that has become part and parcel of a particular community, the extortion, the corruption, and they're just kind of not fit, to be part of a police officer. But again, because of the unchecked balance among the officers and lack of proper training and also orientation and the welfare. And yes, having a knife would have been a problem, but how do you then use a knife on the public is another question that I'm sure a lot of people would like to know.
Interesting. Now about this gentleman, I call him gentleman. Yeah, the driver who decided to bite someone's hand, finger, and then swallow it. I mean, at least you beat it, just throw it down, let them go and fit it.
But that you would have expected to be the right norm, but it looks like the frustration. I mean, we see all kind of things happening. I mean, this was more shocking, but we've seen even some of these, tax force that also in a moving vehicle, move all the vehicle. The driver doesn't stop, and at some point, you know what's going to happen. Is it that they're falling down, and there's another vehicle coming behind, and you can tell what could happen.
Well, listeners to Starr Radio UK. If you have any comments, you can send them in. I promise you, we're going to read them. But now, let's go back to Yomi for some of the issues that's making the rounds on the social media platform as well. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, like I said at the beginning, NSAS, Lekki massacre is still trending, and I'm sure the reason for that is a lot of Nigerians are now asking the question. This particular tweet by Biafra Nnamdi. Yesterday, I and a comrade visited the wife of a comrade who was killed during the #NSAS. This comrade left 3 daughters and a son for us to take care of. This comrade by name Nnamdi sacrificed his life for you. I so will must make sure we take care of what he left for us. And I could see, the dead body, which is right in front of me, and likewise, the wife and the children that has now been left because of the killings that we now know was a massacre. Another one here says, according to Maurice Ondamoyo, this is the thread of the average behavior of the shameless Nigerian politician. When election season is approaching, please don't laugh, it is serious. I saw there the former senator of Kogi, Dino Malaye, that was having a granite on his head. He's no longer a senator, but this was part of their gimmicks at the last election. There's another one that was having, this is the former Happiness, I'm sure you remember the Happiness minister. Photocha. I even saw a video of him. He has now become also a pastor. He was in the church, and I think the Holy Spirit told him to pick up somebody from those that were sitting, and then he said, I'm going to bless you because I can feel that you really need money. I mean, I'm sure everybody needs money. Right here in the picture of God is having a little baby and feeding the baby like a gentle father. I'm sure a lot of people that elect. There's another one here. This is the former Ekiti State Governor Fayose riding a motorbike. He's a clown. You see him like that. He's no longer the governor, and these are part. There's this other one who is the former Nigerian Labour Congress, and now he was a minister, he was a governor, and that is the former Edo State Governor, which I'm going to remember his name. He's there, throwing what we call roasted roasted corn. So you could see that election is coming, and then most of them will do everything to make sure that they are well represented as well. Yes, Adam Oshomole. It was a one-time comrade at the Nigerian Labour Union until he becomes a governor, and you know what happened after that. Also, Aisha Yusuf. The thing that hurt me more than the killings at the Lekki toll gate was how member of the Lagos State House of Assembly threw #NSAS protesters under the bus and were practically swearing allegiance to Tinubu. The citizens didn't matter, nor the protesters. All they care about was Tinubu. And according to Reno Mokere, #Buhari for prison 2023, that is what he has to say there. So I'm going to take one from the Lekki massacre we're looking at. I mean, it's the same thing, but let's look at what is now on the Lekki massacre there. And you can just see the image somebody has put out there by Ricardo Banks on Twitter. It happened, and we remember #EndSARS. So, the whole area of the Lekki toll gate, he has actually did a design, and it says, who gave the order? ? And the other one is, remember their names, 2010, 2020, with a lot of names on that as well. And then the next one, it says, we will never forget. And the last one says, with the Nigerian flag, with a bit of blood around it, Giant of Africa.
Well, listeners, Star Radio UK update from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. We'll be coming to, I wanted to ask you one question about the DJ, that lady JJ who had to flee. Whether we've had any response from her now as to whether government has said, oh, we are apologizing, therefore come back. We want us to get updates from that. Now, Tosino Nash Olayomi says that good afternoon from here, that is from Russia, from Moscow to be specific. He said Nigeria is a headquarters of criminal politicians, and then he goes over to say, which God created Nigeria politicians? Well, it's the same God who created you and I, but they decide to go wayward. Okay, now let's look at the DJ, that lady DJ. We didn't talk about her yesterday.
Her name is Catherine Uday, popularly known as DJ Switch, has reacted to the report by the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry. According to the report submitted by the panel, what she said, according to her, is again on her Twitter feed, we said that yesterday, shattered so many lives, tried to destroy mine, only for what you desperately try to hide to be made public by you. The truth needs no defense. #EndSARS. The Nigerian government have not, like I said, responded to this new panel report, but I'm sure she probably won't be able to come home, even if she's invited to come, because her life might still be in danger. So she's still in exile, where she's probably more safer than coming back to Nigeria at this very difficult time.
Well, now the other question I want to find out is, some people's finances or bank accounts were all, whether stopped or something by the states. Because of this Lekki toll gate issue, because they were the ones who were giving, were funding the feeding and medicine of the protesters. What has happened to them? Have you heard anything from any of them in those circles?
Well, you're quite right. Just after the whole saga of the EndSARS, the Nigerian government, the central bank went very hard. #EndSARS protesters' account remained frozen despite expiration of the court order. This was, around February. Some of them, they have their account back. Some of them are still finding it very difficult, especially when they're traveling, outside Nigeria, and they get to the airport. Their names have literally, been tagged. So, but what we can say is, in somewhere around February, the court freezing order expired in February 2nd. But as at the time, the tag #EndSARS protesters account remained frozen. So we hope, the 20 EndSARS protesters that were targeted then by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, in the wake of the, that police brutality demonstration, are still being deprived access to their bank account. I don't know what the current state is, but this is what we have as of February this year. The CBN, as of November 4, 2020, obtained an ex parte order from the Federal High Court in Abuja to freeze the protesters' account for 90 days. By calculation, then, the freezing order has occurred around 2nd. Some of them were able to take the federal government to the court. There's a particular one there, Reno, Bola Tito Oduala, Oduala, popular known as Reno, who has also been very, very, critiques of part of what happened. She was part of those members of people that were on the ground. Let's see what she say currently on the situation with the EndSARS, because like I said, she's a project director of Nigeria, strategic policy maker, and also what she has to say. Then the Nigerian state killed EndSARS protester, called DJ Switch a liar, and made us doubt our sanity for a better part of a year. We haven't got the time, but maybe later on in the evening, I might play, that interview she gave, I guess maybe today, in one of the mainstream media back in Nigeria. Yes, I think she did that interview this morning, according to her Twitter handle. So you could see that a lot of them now are feeling more relief after this panel coming out to say yes, people were killed, because at the time we were told where are the dead bodies if people were killed. But what they didn't tell us is the crime scene was already swept and clean as if nothing happened the next day, while people were still mourning across the country and outside Nigeria.
Well, somebody say that's cover up, proper one that was happening there. But Tosino has posted a couple of comments. Let me read them. They are quite interesting. He said, even the devil is afraid of Nigerian politicians. And he said, both young and old politicians have sold their souls to the devil. So, but we know that definitely with this report, maybe government is one way or the other will do something about it. But my question is, how soon will they react to it so that people who need, virtually people who have been killed, those who have been maimed, will be, compensated in a way. We know that whatever they do will not bring those people back. Lives that have been destroyed can never be mended away, but at least they can have some closure there. How soon is that going to happen? That is a question that will be following. But remember, this evening, Yomi is coming back on the Niger Voices. Yomi, once again, what are we looking at?
Well, nothing more than what happened, reviewing everything that we can remember. Just as the protesters were happening, it was peaceful. Even the panel says so. All that I'll be reviewing during the Niger Voices at exactly 1800 hours. That will be 1900 hours, 7 p.m. Nigerian time, but 6 p.m. GMT here in UK, where we're going to be going live on Starr Radio UK. So make sure you tune in. We can talk about NSAS, what happened, lesson to be learned, and what should be expected from the federal government, the state government, and who should take the bulk of it, who should be resigning, who should be penalized. All that discussion will be later on this evening on Niger Voices.
Well, before Yomi goes, let me read these comments. Olariwan just says, Mr. Sanwu Owu, yes, as a citizen of this country living in Lagos, the epicenter of NSAS protests, I demand your resignation right now. I just want you help you to be ashamed and do the right thing. For us to forgive you, you must resign first. Do it now. We are waiting. And Tosino says, Buhari is out of the country, and even AGF is out of the country. Nigeria is on autopilot. Interesting comments from there. But Yomi, let me say thank you very much for this wonderful update.
Thank you very much. I'll be back again, like I said, at 6 p.m. Make sure you tune in. It is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bye for now. Stay tuned with Archie for the remaining segment of the program.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me read a comment from Amayo Ajeregini. He says, what? He says that, well, Father Lord, please fast forward the judgment day and let it begin from Nigeria. And Jasina says, thank you, Yomi. All right, then. Let your comments still come through. I promise you, whatever it is, I will read them across so that we all know what you are thinking. But it is Starr Radio UK. We're going to take a quick break. I'll bring you some music, and then we'll look at some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. As you know, it is a Wednesday edition of the morning show, so I have to announce the lines open now. If you want to hop in or hop on, it is 0208-133-2257 or 580208-133-2257 or 58. If you happen to be in the US or Canada, it is 001-7183-032737. 001-7183-032737. To text or WhatsApp us is 075-3966-1744. 075-3966-1744. And then our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK. Email address is info@starradiouk.com. Stay tuned. Don't you go away. It is Starr Radio UK.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, something from the one and only Raskimono under pressure. Is the Nigerian government under pressure? Is the Lagos state government under pressure as well? Well, we'll see what happens on that front. All I want to say is Nigeria police authorities order female officers married to civilians to vacate barracks with families. Oh my goodness. Well, if it's a man, is that okay? But if they are female police officers and they are married to civilians, they should vacate the barracks? My goodness. Well, everyone will give us some more info on that. But I promise you, Mr. Olayomi will be bringing you more when it comes to our Niger Voices tonight. Or this evening from 18 hours GMT, and that is going to be 18 hours plus 1. That is 19 hours for those of you in Nigeria. But in other parts of the world, add or subtract. I know Tosino will have to be adding lots to get the time there, isn't it? But wherever it is Starr Radio UK.
Under pressure, black people under pressure. Under pressure, Nigerians under pressure. Under pressure, Africans under pressure. No voodoo.
Okay, we have to move on Because of time, we are pressed with time because in the next 22 minutes I'll be taking you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So let's look at some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK as well. The Liverpool bomber was planning the attack since April. Information coming through has said there are pictures of him posing for a picture with the Archbishop. Is it? Yes, Liverpool Anglican Cathedral. Yes, Right Reverend Sarah Ashton, the Bishop of Liverpool Anglican Cathedral, posing a picture with him. Was that all a ploy to get infiltrate, to be accepted, and then do evil? That is a question that's being asked. Now, Liverpool bomber Ahmad Al-Swilmin began making purchase for his attack in April, counter-terror police have said. Now, Assistant Chief Constable Russ Jackson said the 32-year-old asylum seeker was born in Iraq, had rented a property in the city 7 months ago. Al-Swilmin had suffered from periods of mental illness, which will form part of the investigation, he added. Now, post-mortem found he died from injuries caused by the explosion. Al-Swilman was a passenger in a taxi when his homemade device exploded outside Liverpool Women's Hospital shortly before 11 o'clock GMT on Remember Sunday. The question is, was it his plan that he was heading towards where the memorial, the remembrance service was being held? That's because we know that in Liverpool they had cordoned off few areas, and therefore one of the areas that was close to the scene was via the hospital bed. So once there, you can maybe marshal on or move on to do so. But well, more information will be coming your way during the week, other days and the weeks go on to try to unravel what has caused him to do so, and the mental state as well. It's quite worrying. Can you just imagine somebody who was doing well in a particular field of life and then suddenly find yourself in a situation due to whatever that is going on in their country, and then try to get to this place where they want to live a bit of life, and then rejected. Now, what state of mind do they go in? They are thinking about their families back home, and all those things can cause mental ailment, and the might could cause him to have done something evil like this. But who knows? Well, we hope that more information comes through, and then we will be able to know exactly what has happened. But it's all Starr Radio UK. Now, UK price soar at fastest rate for almost 10 years. What is causing this? The cost of living surged by 4.2% in the 12 months to October, the highest rate in almost 10 years. It is mainly due to higher fuel and energy prices, but the cost of second-hand cars and eating out also rose. The Office of the National Statistics is saying inflation is up sharply since COVID restrictions ended this summer and the economy is reopened. The Bank of England says it may have to raise interest rates in the coming months to tackle the surging prices. Now, October's reading is far higher than the 3.1% rise recorded in the year to September, and more than double the bank's target of 2%. So, what percentage raise will the Bank of England implement come a couple of months where they are looking at doing so? Now, Olayomi just said more comments. Said, which barracks? The Shanty area, glorified toilet area, or what? And it's laughing out loud there. What is saying, wherever they are even living, is not a good place to live. And you are saying that they should live with their families because they are not men? Whoops. All right. Well, it is Starr Radio, okay? It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And it says, and when people protest against this lawless government, the same hungry police will kill them. Yeah, he says that the same hungry police will kill them. Madam, pack and go. Oga, toast you. You no agree. You go marry a civilian. That's quite an interesting one. So if you're a police lady, please marry a policeman so that you can get free accommodation. Really? You say it's a shanty area that they are living at as well. But it's all Starr Radio UK. Now let's move on to some other stories before we cross on to some other ones in other parts of the world. Now, Amazon is to stop accepting Visa credit cards in the UK. Why? Because they say Amazon will stop accepting Visa credit cards in the UK from January 19, 2022, the online retail giant has told customers. It said the move was due to high credit card transaction fees, but said Visa debit cards will still be accepted. Now, Visa said it was very disappointed that Amazon is threatening to restrict consumer choice in the future. Now, Amazon said the cost of accepting card payments continue to be an obstacle for businesses striving to provide the best price for customers. So why don't they reduce the transaction cost there? It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on to other parts of the world. Let's see what is happening there, because we are pressed with time and not be able to touch on all the stories. But in Vancouver, in Canada, a deadly storm described by officials as once in a century weather event has severed road and rail lanes around Vancouver in Canada. Now, 2 motorways connecting the West Coast city were closed after being damaged by severe flooding. Now, thousands of people were forced to leave their homes due to the massive storm which struck on Monday. A woman was killed in a highway landslide, and rescuers say at least 2 other people are missing. The woman's body was found near Lillooet, about 250 kilometers or 155 miles from Vancouver, according to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. Now, RCMP Sergeant Janelle Schuert said the rescuers had not yet determined the number of occupied vehicles that were lost in the slide. According to the AFP news agency, the motorist Cathy Rennie said she saw the landslide come down on traffic that were already at a standstill south of Lillooet. Now, no sooner do we get back into our vehicle than that people were in front of us just screaming and running, she said. The look on their faces, it was like a tsunami was coming. It was the scariest thing that I've ever seen, and that is a very, very sad and scary situation that has been described there. But whatever it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 14 minutes past to the top of the hour. 14 minutes more for me to take you to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. Now, in the Middle East as well, information coming through. The Turkish state run under. Israel has urged Turkey to release an Israeli couple charged with espionage for allegedly taking photos of the presidential residence in Istanbul. Now, Natalie and Modi Ognin, who are bus drivers from Modin, were arrested last week after being reported by staff at a restaurant in Kamilika Tower. A judge ordered that they should be remanded in custody pending trial. The Israeli lawyer called the charges groundless, and Israel insisted they did not work for any Israeli agency. Now, they are 2 innocent civilians who have been mistakenly caught up in a complex situation. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said on Sunday, "I spoke yesterday with the family and we are doing everything to resolve the issue." Relations between Israel and Turkey have been strained since a deadly 2010 Israeli raid on a Turkish ship trying to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So, bringing you some more stories across the globe. Now, interestingly, Lidl has announced pay rises for March next year, which it says will make it the UK's highest paying supermarket. It will increase its minimum pay for employees outside London to £10.10 pence an hour, and rates of up to £11.40 for more experienced workers. Higher rates will apply in the capital, the supermarket said. It added that the increase recognized the hard work and dedication of frontline colleagues during the last 18 months of the pandemic. Earlier this year, Morrison became the first UK supermarket to pay at least £10 an hour. Entry-level wages will increase from £9.50 to £10.10. an hour outside London, and £10.85 to £11.30 within the M25 from March 2022, with colleagues earning up to £11.40 and £12.25 respectively, depending on length of service, Liddell has said. It comes after official figures on Tuesday suggested that the employers are continuing to struggle to fill roles affecting the hospitality and retail sectors in particular. Job vacancies hit a fresh record high of 1.17 million in October, almost 400,000 higher than before the pandemic. It is Star Radio UK. So kudos to Liddell. And kudos to the work they are doing there as well. It is Star Radio UK. We hope that all organizations look at the way, the sacrifices that their staff are making. And also, somebody will say, if you go to church, bless them. All right then. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mass detention of Tigrayans ongoing in Ethiopia. At least 1,000 people have been arrested because of their suspected links with rebels from Tigray area, the Tigray region. Now, if you do so, so if somebody is from Tigray and is living in Addis Ababa, are they going to be arrested? Well, we'll try to get more information on that front during the course of the days. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be bringing you more on those fronts. Now, Blinken arrives in Kenya as his Africa visit starts. U.S. Secretary of State will be holding talks with President Kenyatta on regional security issues. It is All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In South Africa, a national mourning period starting from tonight till Sunday evening has been declared for the late F.W. de Klerk. Okay, and that will also be ongoing. It is Star Radio UK. Now, moving on to some other stories, still on the African front. Kenya is also bracing itself for maybe an imminent attack because the government has also incarcerated a few terrorists there as well, and they are thinking that, well, looking at what has happened in Uganda, copycats, they might want to do something about that. They might want to do something in that same vein. But yeah, well, it is All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on finally to Ghana, where some other stories there we're going to be looking at. 9 minutes to the top of the hour. Okay, so now in Ghana, well, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will today present the 2022 budget statement and economic policy of government in Parliament. The budget is expected to focus on reducing unemployment and expanding on recovery methods for COVID-19. A statement ahead of the budget presentation by the Finance Ministry said the budget will primarily focus on expanding on the economy's recovery from COVID-19 pandemic, as well as creating a climate-friendly entrepreneurial state to address unemployment and important substitution. Now, digitalization of the economy, skills development, and entrepreneurship will also feature prominently in the presentation. Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has warned any reversal of the 50% benchmark policy. 50% benchmark policy will bring untold hardship on Ghanaian traders. The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, and the Ghana Union of Traders, GUTA, are in a banter over the proposed review of the 50% benchmark for some imported products. Even though the Ghana Revenue Authority is yet to receive policy approval for the review of the benchmark, the Association of Ghana Industry says it hopes the review is approved because it will help local industries. Well, we'll bring you more on that front. Yes, on Star Radio UK, it is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, the budget should also focus on other areas, taxes, not petroleum. That's what some economists are also saying. Now, you can't arrest Sosu. And who is speaking? You can't arrest Sosu. It's an obstruction. Babbing to the police. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has stated that the police administration cannot arrest the Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, after they approved the Medina demonstration addressing the Speaker's breakfast forum. Quite interesting there, because if you address or if you approved the demonstration, why do you now want to come and arrest him? So if you approved it, then you were there to see to it that people take and did everything according to the full rigors of the law. So how come they want to arrest him? Well, this banter has been going on for some time. I know that Francis Sosu is somewhere in the US. They're chilling out a bit. Well, yesterday we did talk about the return of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the former wife, my apologies. Yeah, the wife of the late, let me put it that way, that's how I wanted to put it, the wife of the late Jerry John Rawlings. Okay, now poster and managing editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, Ben Efson, says the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman may not bring any exceptional differences to the NDC if she rejoins, according to him. So what do you think? Should she? Shouldn't she? Well, there have been some banter going on in some of the when it comes to some of the leadership of the NDC. And what do you think about all that? Well, we will be bringing you more on that front tomorrow once we come your way with another edition of the morning show. But a final one from the Sosu case, Francis Xavier Sosu's case. Now it says the Medina MP Francis Sosu has filed a human rights action against the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, over the attempts to arrest him. The human rights lawyer who led his constituents in the hashtag Fix Our Roads demo has been fighting several attempts by the police to take him in on charges of obstruction of highway and destruction of public property. Now, according to the police, on October 25 this year, the angry protesters blocked the Ayimensa Damfa Road, burning tires and obstructing traffic in the process. However, attempts to arrest the legislator have proved difficult, with the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Bagbin, stepping in to defend the legislator. According to the Speaker, the legislator was on parliamentary duties and thus enjoy parliamentary immunity even on the protest ground. He has vehemently refused to assist the police get hold of the Medina MP and has threatened 2 police officers with contempt of parliament. In the latest twist, the Medina MP, who has recently returned from a trip outside the country on parliament duties, has filed a human rights action pursuant to the Article 33 of the 1992 Constitution and Order 67 of the High Court Civil Procedure Rule C 14 or CI4 for the enforcement of his fundamental human rights. The MP is asking for an order for the enforcement of his right to freedom of movement, right to protest and demonstrate, right to personal liberty, right to freedom of expression, and right against unlawful arrest and malicious prosecution. It says of the applicants and of an order for stay of all criminal investigations and proceedings by the Ghana Police Service and the Inspector General of Police. The human rights action is also accompanied by an injunction application to restrain any further attempts to unlawful arrest of the MP until the full determination of the human rights action. Well, what happened? Somebody say, well, this is not Nigeria, it's Ghana. The rule of law works there. Really? Let's see what happens as the days and months and years go on. But remember, this evening exactly at 18 hours GMT, or 18 hours plus 1 GMT, that is 17 hours, Ms. Olayomi Koiki will be bringing you Niger Voices. And this is where I bring the program to a close, the first part, because I'm going to take you to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So wherever you are, stay tuned, don't you go away. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Outlined my previous answer. I'm hoping to meet the First Minister later this week to discuss a range of issues. I'm sure the Honourable Lady would agree that the M4 is central to cross-border connectivity, and improvements are well overdue if we are serious about levelling up.
Yeah. Lynn Saxby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can see South Wales from my North Devon constituency, and I'm very keen to secure a ferry crossing from Ilfracombe to South Wales, popular on both sides of the Bristol Channel, with visions ranging from a Dylan Thomas literary tour through to a Barry Booze cruise. Will the Minister meet with me to see how to progress this project?
Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to. It used to be a ferry from Tenby to North Devon back in the old days, and I'm very happy to see it. I'm very happy to see it reduced. I have to say, Mr. Speaker, that until Welsh Government honours its 2016 manifesto commitment to improve the M4, the quickest way of us visiting each other will be a 30-year-old ferry chugging across the Bristol Channel.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I would like to point out that the British Sign Language interpretation of proceedings is available to watch on the Parliament Live TV. We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Jonathan Edwards.
Number one, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Jonathan Edwards.
Diolch, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will be aware of the considerable public concern in relation to the impression that significant political donations can help acquire a peerage. The Honourable Member for Nahigan Enia will publish a bill later today which will prohibit large party donors from being nominated to the other place for a period of 5 years. Will he offer full government support to my honourable friend's efforts?
Mr. Speaker, I will study his proposals with care when the parties opposite commit to stop taking funds from the unions in order to control our policies.
Mr. Speaker, during a recent visit to Barnet Hospital, I was told that A&E there is routinely seeing twice the number of people for which it was designed. Thanks to the hard work of staff and big funding increases, the NHS is seeing more patients and delivering more tests, treatments and operations than at any time in its history. But What is the government doing to urgently assist the NHS to tackle spiralling demand for healthcare and a tough winter ahead?
I thank my right honourable friend because over the for what she does to represent her hospital, and I thank them, the NHS staff, for their amazing work that they're doing. We're supporting them by recruiting, as she knows, 50,000 more nurses, putting another £4.5 billion into the NHS over the rest of this financial year. And the best thing we can do to protect our NHS over this winter is everybody to come forward and get their booster vaccination.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Trust matters, and after the last fortnight, the Prime Minister's got a lot of work to do. A central plank in this government's promise to the north of England is a Crossrail of the North, with at least an entirely new high-speed rail line between Manchester and Leeds. A Crossrail for the north, an entirely new line. That is the promise. It's already been made. So I don't want the Prime Minister fobbing off the House about waiting till tomorrow. He can say today, will he stick by that promise, yes or no?
Yeah. Prime Minister. He should wait and see what is going to be announced tomorrow, because we will produce a fantastic integrated rail plan. I'm not going to spoil it for them, Mr. Speaker. Why would I? We're going to produce a fantastic...
Order. I expect the front bench to behave better than what it is doing at the moment. If you don't want to listen to the answer, let me know now. I do, and I cannot hear when you all shout together. We want better politics. I expect better politics from both sides. Let's show a little bit more decorum than we're seeing at the moment. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when we produce our integrated rail plan tomorrow, people across the House and across the country will see what we are doing to cut journey times, to make life easier and better for people in the North East, in the North West, in the Midlands, across the whole of the north of the country. Mr. Speaker, with the biggest programme of investment in rail for a century, Mr. Speaker, for a century. And what we are doing, Mr. Speaker, is we are giving people in those communities the same access to commuter-type services that people in the southeast of this country have felt entitled to for more than a century. And that is going to be levelling up across the whole of the UK, Mr. Speaker.
Keir Starmer.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that was a lot of words. but it wasn't a yes. So that's one important promise to the North that he won't stand by. Let's look at another. In February this year, the Prime Minister told this House, I can certainly confirm that we are going to develop the eastern leg as well as the whole of HS2. The whole of HS2. A new high-speed line running continuously, no gaps, between Birmingham and Leeds. So will the Prime Minister confirm that he stands by that promise?
Prime Minister. I'm afraid the right honourable gentleman is in danger of getting hoist on his own petard, Mr. Speaker. He needs to wait and see what we announce tomorrow, because I think he will find that the people of the North East, of the North West, the people of Leeds, the people of Nottingham, the people of Sheffield, and the people of the whole of the North West and the North East of this country will benefit massively from what we are going to announce.
Keir Starmer.
Again, Mr. Speaker, a lot of words, but not a yes. So that's two important promises to the North that he won't stand by. No wonder trust in the Prime Minister is at an all-time low. Across the country and belatedly across this House, there is now agreement that Owen Paterson broke the rules and that the government should not have tried to let him off the hook. Many members opposite have apologised. The Business Secretary has apologised for his part. The Leader of the House has apologised for his part. But they were following the Prime Minister's lead. So will he do the decent thing and just say sorry for trying to give the green light to corruption?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, yes, as I've said before, it certainly was a mistake to conflate the case of an individual member, no matter how sad, with the point of principle at stake, and we do need a cross-party approach on an appeals process. We also need, Mr. Speaker, a cross-party approach on the way forward, and that's why we've tabled the proposals that we have to take forward the report of the Independent Committee for Standards in Public Life of 2018 with those two key principles that everybody in this House should focus primarily and above all on their job here in this House, and secondly, that no one should exploit their position in order to advance the commercial interests of anybody else. That's our position, Mr. Speaker. We want to take forward those reforms. In the meantime, perhaps he could clear up from his proposals, whether he would continue to be able to take money as he did from Mishcon de Rea and other legal firms.
Order. Prime Minister. As you know, and I do remind you, it's Prime Minister's questions, not Leader of the Opposition's questions. Keir Starmer.
That's not an apology. Everybody else has apologised for him, but he won't apologise for himself. A coward, not a leader. Weeks defending corruption. Yesterday, a screeching last-minute U-turn to avoid defeat on Labour's plan to ban MPs from dodgy second contracts. But waving one white flag won't be enough to restore trust. And there are plenty of opposition days to come. And we will not let the Prime Minister water down the proposals or pretend that it's job done. We still haven't shut the door on the revolving door where ministers are regulating a company 1 minute and working for them the next. There are plenty of cases that still stain this House. There are two simple steps to sorting it out: proper independence and powers for the Business Appointments Committee and banning these job swaps. Will the Prime Minister take those steps?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've called, as you know, and indeed you have called, Mr. Speaker, for a cross-party approach to this. And what I think we need, to do is to work together on the basis of the independent report by the Committee of Standards in Public Life to take things forward and indeed to address the appeals process. But what I think everybody can see, Mr. Speaker, is that in a classic lawyerly way, the right honourable gentleman is now trying to prosecute others for exactly the course of action that he took himself. And what I think the nation wants to know, because his register is incomplete, who paid Mishcon de Rea and who paid the 25,000? Who's paying him for his...
Just a minute. Prime Minister, I don't want to fall out about it. I've made it very clear. It is Prime Minister's questions. It's not for the opposition to answer your question. Whether we like it or not, those are the rules of the game that we're all into, and we play by the rules, don't we? And we respect this House, so let's respect the House. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, that newfound commitment to upholding standards didn't last long. Mr. Speaker, here's the difference. When somebody in my party misbehaves, I kick them out.
Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark. And I don't think... Look, this is not good. We lost a dear friend. I want to show that this House has learnt from it. I don't want each other to be shouted down. I want questions to be respected. I expect the public to actually be able to hear the questions and the answers, because I'm struggling in this chair. I need no more. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, when somebody in my party misbehaves, I kick them out. When somebody in his party misbehaves, he tries to get them off the hook. I lead, he covers up. Let's try another issue. We know that Owen Paterson was a paid lobbyist for Randox. We know that he sat in on a call between Randox and the minister responsible for handling health contracts. We know that Randox has been awarded government contracts worth almost £600 million without competition or tender. Against that backdrop, the public are concerned that taxpayers' money may have been influenced by paid lobbying. There's only one way to get to the bottom of this: a full, transparent investigation. If he votes for Labour's motion this afternoon, that investigation can start. Will he vote for it, or will he vote for another cover-up?
Prime Minister!
I'm very happy to publish all the details of the Randox contracts, which have been investigated by the National Audit Office already. We're talking of cover-ups. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, but we still have not heard why the Honourable Gentleman will not tell...
Order. Minister, Prime Minister, sit down. Prime Minister, I'm not going to be challenged. You may be the Prime Minister of this country, but in this House, I'm in charge, and we're going to carry on. End of that. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Prime Minister just said he's happy to publish all the Randox papers in relation to these contracts, so we'll take that and we'll pursue it. And I remind the Prime Minister, when I was Director of Public Prosecutions, I prosecuted MPs who broke the rules. He has been investigated by every organisation he's ever been elected to. That's the difference. Billions of pounds of taxpayers' money handed to their mates and donors. Tory MPs getting rich by working as lobbyists, one not even bothering to turn up because he's in the Caribbean advising tax havens. And the Prime Minister somehow expects us to believe that he's the man to clean up Westminster. He led his troops through the sewers to cover up corruption, and he can't even say sorry. The truth is that beneath the bluster, he still thinks it's one rule for him and another for his mates. At the same time as his government are engulfed in sleaze, they're rowing back on the promises they made to the north. And it's working people who are paying the price. Is it any wonder that people are beginning to think that the joke isn't funny anymore?
Mr. Speaker, it is plain from listening to the right honourable gentleman that he seeks to criticise this government while refusing to explain his own position. And you've ruled on that, Mr. Speaker. You've ruled on that, Mr. Speaker, and I hear you. But his own misconduct, Mr. Speaker, is absolutely clear to everybody. His own misconduct is absolutely clear. And meantime, Mr. Speaker, we will get on a cross-party basis. We will get on a cross-party basis with taking forward the business that I've outlined, and we will get on with the business of this government, which is leading the country out of the pandemic.
Prime Minister, just, I'm struggling to hear, and if it's correct what I've said, it was about Leader of the Opposition and misconduct. We cannot accuse somebody of misconduct. Now, I may, and just before the Leader of the House gives me an answer, all I'm trying to say, I cannot hear. If it was said, I want it withdrawn. If it wasn't, I will accept it. I'm just a moment. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I referred to the right honourable gentleman's misconduct, because that is what he is guilty of. That is what he is guilty of.
Order. I don't think this has done this House any good today. I'll be quite honest, I think it's been ill-tempered. I think it shows the public that this House has not learned from the other week. I need this House to gain respect, but it starts by individuals showing respect to each other. Right, let's go to Lee, no less. We're going to James Grundy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The people of Lee have never accepted our forced merger with the friendly rivals, but rival town of Wigan back in 1973. Could the Prime Minister tell me how we could escape the big government of Big Wigan by getting our own council back?
Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend, and I thank him for his campaign against local Labour government over-taxing and delivering inadequate services. The local boundary commission will look at the boundary reviews, but meantime I will support him in any way that I can.
We now go to the Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, it used to always be said that the Tory MPs were behind the Prime Minister, but my goodness, look at the gaps on the third, fourth and fifth benches. Mr. Speaker, the rebellion has clearly started. Mr. Speaker, this Tory sleaze scandal has now been hitting the headline for the past 14 days. And yet, it's pretty obvious that the Prime Minister spent less than 10 minutes coming up with yesterday's half-hearted, half-baked and already half-botched proposals. These so-called reforms don't even scratch the surface. This sleaze scandal runs far, far deeper. Month after month, the public have witnessed scandal after scandal. Peerages handed to millionaire donors. VIP lanes gifted COVID contracts to Tory pals. Dodgy donations for luxury holidays and home renovations. The Prime Minister and his government have been up to their necks in sleaze. Can the Prime Minister tell us exactly which one of these scandals his proposals would have stopped?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the humble crofter, as he refers to himself, for his question, and I would just say that what I think we can do is pursue a cross-party approach based on the report of the Independent Committee on Standards in Public Life, which has much of a profit in it. And it says, amongst other things, that it's important that this House should be augmented with outside experience of the world. It's important that members of this House should have experience of the private sector, as he does. And I think on a cross-party basis, we should proceed with the couple of reforms that I've indicated.
Ian Black.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of course, this is about Tory sleaze and Tory corruption. And the Prime Minister has basically admitted that not one of this government's sleaze scandals would have been stopped by his so-called plan. And perhaps we shouldn't be surprised, considering the Prime Minister has been at the rotten core of all these scandals. The trail of sleaze and scandal all leads back to the funding of the Conservative Party. Since 2010, Mr. Speaker, the Tory Party has made nine of its former treasurers members of the House of Lords. Every single one of them has something in common. They have handed over £3 million to the Prime Minister's party. That is the very definition of corruption. It is the public's definition of corruption. Will this government finally accept that this is corruption, or is the Prime Minister the only person in the country who has the brass neck to argue that it was all one big coincidence?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have to say that I won't comment on the missing £600,000 from the SNP's party accounts. But I do say, Mr. Speaker, in all sincerity and heeding what you've said earlier on, I think these constant attacks on the UK's levels of corruption and sleaze do a massive disservice to billions of people around the world who genuinely suffer from governments that are corrupt, who genuinely have no ability to scrutinise their MPs, Mr. Speaker. This is one of the cleanest democracies in the world, and people should be proud of it.
Simon Baines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Prime Minister join me in celebrating the 50th anniversary this year of the formation of the 177-mile path for walkers along Offord Dyke, which runs through Clwyd South, and give his support to the recently launched Offord Dyke Rescue Fund to repair and preserve this monument and nature reserve for future generations?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've had the good fortune to walk Offord Dyke very recently, and I'm delighted that English and Welsh organisations are working together to protect that fantastic national monument, and Historic England has committed to give almost £300,000 more to that great cause.
And David.
Mr. Speaker, ambulance response times are now the worst ever. People are waiting for ambulances longer than ever. And with A&Es in crisis, patients are stuck in ambulances outside hospital longer than ever. Waiting times aren't statistics, they are people. People often in great pain and in danger. So why is this government closing ambulance stations in parts of our country? Why is the West Midlands Ambulance Service closing up to 10 community ambulance stations in Rugby, Oswestry and Craven Arms? With this health crisis for our ambulance services and in our A&Es, injured, sick and elderly people are being hit. When will the Prime Minister deal with this health crisis?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate that ambulance crews and ambulance services are doing an amazing job, particularly at this time of year, and I thank them for what they're doing. We are supporting them with more cash. Another 450 million was awarded to 120 trusts to upgrade their facilities. And as he knows, we're putting another 36 billion into dealing with the backlogs, which is fundamentally affecting the NHS so badly at the moment, through the levy that we've instituted, which I don't think he supported.
Andrew Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Domestic heating accounts for 30% of UK carbon emissions, and I support the government's incentive scheme to replace the old gas boilers with environmentally friendly alternatives. But now we're building more homes than we have for many, many years. Can we build upon the success of COP26 and ask really what is the progress that is being made on the standards for new build homes to make sure that our new homes are fit for the future?
Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend. He's totally right to focus on the issue of future-proofing homes and making them low carbon. And by 2025, our future homes standard will ensure that new homes produce at least 75% fewer CO2 emissions.
Fairness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week I visited a GP practice in my constituency of Sheffield, Brightside and Hillsborough and was horrified to hear about the amounts of abuse staff are currently experiencing. Their workloads are under extreme pressure, and this is not helped by the Prime Minister making demands about appointments, whilst he has still failed on his manifesto pledge to recruit 6,000 more GPs. So, will the Prime Minister apologise for this broken promise to GPs and their staff who are on the front line working under ever-increasing pressure and depleted staffing resources?
Prime Minister.
Well, first of all, I want to thank GPs for everything that they're doing, particularly during the booster rollout. But what we're also doing is not just recruiting as many GPs as we can, but we have 10,000 more nurses this year than last year, 25,000 more healthcare professionals altogether. There are more people, Mr. Speaker, now working in the NHS than at any time in its history. And because of our investment, the extra 36 billion that we're putting in, there will be even more. And I'm afraid that the lady opposite voted against that investment.
David Druid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Following on from COP26, can my right honourable friend confirm that maximising carbon capture and storage capacity across the whole United Kingdom is a priority for this government? And, I mean, despite the doom and gloom and the words of rejection and snubbing and the SNP members opposite, can he also confirm that the Acorn carbon capture and storage and hydrogen project in my constituency of Banff-and-Buchan has a key role to play in this country's future carbon capture and storage capacity targets to meet net zero?
Minister. I thank my honourable friend, and he's quite right to champion carbon capture and storage, which has a great future in Scotland, in spite of all the gloomstering of the party opposite. The Scottish cluster remains on the reserve, and we will continue to study it, and we hope to bring it forward in due time.
Murray Glendon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The River Tyne, with its world-renowned offshore and subsea sectors, has been repeatedly sidelined by this government, despite me and others constantly lobbying ministers for investment that would massively increase employment opportunities and help the UK's transition to net zero. However, Mr. Speaker, I'm very excited to see our voice is now being magnified by a new Tyne task force set up by the local authorities, the port, businesses and the combined authority. So will the Prime Minister, here and now, commit his government to work with us to realise the full potential of our great river?
Prime Minister.
I thank the honourable lady for her question, and she's absolutely right that the River Tyne is a massive economic asset for the whole of the North East. It has suffered from historic contamination, but we're going to work with the North East Local Enterprise Partnership to invest another £6 million to help develop clear plans for sustainable economic growth along the whole of the estuary.
Henry Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Crawley constituency was one of the most negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, but thanks to significant support from this government, we are seeing recovery, unemployment now beginning to come down, and we look to a confident future
In that vein, will my right honourable friend please look favourably on Crawley's Platinum Jubilee City Status bid?
Minister.
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. I wasn't aware until today that Crawley was bidding to become a city, but I will look at it. I will look at it very carefully, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure there is an excellent case in there somewhere.
David Linden.
Thank you. Speaker, every year 100,000 babies are born premature or sick in the UK and admitted to neonatal intensive care units. The Prime Minister will be aware that today is World Prematurity Day. Now, there's cross-party agreement in this House to bring forward neonatal leave and pay. So rather than wait for a complex, controversial employment bill, will the Prime Minister bring alongside a standalone bill to legislate for this, so that next World Prematurity Day the 100,000 babies and their parents don't have to choose between spending time in the hospital or unpaid leave from work?
I thank the honourable gentleman. I know he's a passionate campaigner in this area, and one way or another, and I'll get back to him on the exact way, Mr. Speaker, we will legislate to allow parents of children in neonatal care to take extended leave, giving them more time during the most vulnerable and stressful days of their lives.
Chris Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Further education colleges like Hotwood Hall in my Hayward and Middleton constituency will play an essential part in building back better. The team at Hotwood have supported over 8,000 learners on courses as diverse as small business management and animal management, as well as 6 new T-level courses. So, can I invite my right honourable friend to come and visit the inspirational team and the students at Hotwood Hall, and as a special treat, come and see Middleton's very own flamboyants and flamingos and our endangered potoroos?
Prime Minister.
I thank him for his kind invitation. I will certainly keep it in mind, and the government is absolutely committed to reforming technical education through new T-levels, and that's why we're investing a further £65 million to develop teacher retention and support and recruitment for teachers in FE. As for the potoroos in his area, I will bear that. Are they wild? Mrs. Speaker, I will do my utmost to come and inspect them.
Rebecca Longbailey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituent Laura told me that Remembrance Sunday hurts. It hurts because there have been no medals for her granddad's service and the thousands of men involved in nuclear weapons tests overseas between 1952 and 1991. It hurts because studies of such veterans have shown increased miscarriages, increased birth defects, and the same rate of genetic damage as clean-up workers at Chernobyl. And it hurts because the UK is the only nuclear power on earth who has denied recognition. So I ask the Prime Minister, will he recognise nuclear testing veterans today and agree to meet them? The Leader of the Opposition has.
Prime Minister.
Well, I'm grateful for bringing this to my attention, and I will certainly make sure that we get a proper meeting with representatives of the nuclear veterans that she raises.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I was in Greece with Save the Children, I learnt that change at any border was quickly communicated down the line. If migrants and asylum seekers knew that they would be directly returned to France or taken to a third country pending application, if they knew this, would they risk a dangerous and illegal crossing and make their way to France in the first place? Can I ask my right honourable friend what further measures are being considered? Because this is an issue of great concern in Eastbourne, along the coast, along the country, and I'm anxious to be able to reassure my constituents that there are plans ahead.
Prime Minister.
I thank her very much, and she has much relevant experience in her work for Save the Children in Greece. Our only credible way of fixing this, Mr. Speaker, is with our new plan for immigration, and that will be made possible with our new Nationality and Borders Bill, which will make it possible for us to distinguish at last between those who come here legally and those who come here illegally, Mr. Speaker. And I hope very much that it will command the support of the whole House.
Kingsbury.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In May, part of Northwich Station in my constituency collapsed. I've asked the Transport Secretary to intervene and build back better and fairer to allow access for people with disabilities. He's declined my kind offer. I'll ask the Prime Minister to intervene. No bluster, substance, build back better and fairer, Northwich Station, it's in the north of England. Thank you.
Prime Minister.
Well, I'm tempted to invite the honourable member to wait and see what we do for rail funding tomorrow, but I will certainly look at what he has to say about Northwich Station with keen interest.
Sir Atherton.
Over 4,200 service women and veterans used a democratic process to contribute to the Defence Select Committee's inquiry into women in the armed forces. A formal response is still awaited from the MOD. Now, whilst the majority of women enjoy a fulfilling career in the military, shocking issues were raised around sexual assault, bullying and harassment. I know the Prime Minister agrees with me that our armed forces are the best in the world. Would he also agree with me that we need to make sure the British Army is the best place to serve as a woman?
Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend, and she's campaigning on a very, very important issue. I think too often we find that our armed forces fail to provide the wonderful women in our armed forces with the support that they deserve, and that's why I'm pleased that my honourable friend, the Defence Secretary, has secured a parliamentary inquiry into this for the first time, and it's vital that we support and encourage women in our armed forces who make a massive difference to those services.
Paisley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It has cost businesses in Northern Ireland the £850 million to date to operate the failed and suffocating protocol. Lord Frost is today in Belfast. When will the Prime Minister fix this by legitimately activating Article 16?
Prime Minister.
I thank the honourable gentleman, and I think the word I would fasten on in his question is legitimately. And there is no question that the use of Article 16, which after all has been done by the EU Commission to stop vaccines being exported to this country, is something that is perfectly legal and within the bounds of the protocol.
Jane Hunt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I recently visited Humphrey Perkins School in beautiful Barrow-upon-Soar. The students asked me there, what is the government doing to engage children and students from all backgrounds to encourage them to aspire to become an MP and even the Prime Minister?
Prime Minister.
Speaker, I think what I would say to my honourable friend and her students is that nothing that is said or that takes place in this House, none of the argy-bargy, the repartee, the occasional abuse to which we subject each other, Mr. Speaker, should in any way deter anybody from seeking a career in politics, because it is a wonderful privilege, and we are all, Mr. Speaker, very lucky to be here.
Sting Jardine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In my constituency of Edinburgh West, we are now finding numerous people coming to us with delays from DWP in pensions and benefits, to add to the delays that others are facing over passports and DVLA. Can the Prime Minister tell us, please, amongst the many jobs being done at the moment, who is making sure that the departments of government are running smoothly and quickly?
Prime Minister.
I thank her, and I think actually that the Department for Work and Pensions under my right honourable friend the Secretary of State has been a government that has performed outstanding service, performed miracles, and amongst the things that it has achieved, Mr. Speaker, is to help to get millions of people effectively back into employment in spite of all the difficulties that we have faced. We now have unemployment running at virtually record lows in spite of all the difficulties we face, we faced in this pandemic as we come out of furlough, and that is largely thanks to the work of the DWP. Of course, there is more that can be done, and that people can always up their game, Mr. Speaker, but I think that the DWP, the officials working in the DWP across the country, huge numbers of men and women, have done an outstanding job.
Final question, Jake Murray.
Mr. Speaker, in July 2019, I was in Manchester when the Prime Minister committed to build a new line, Northern Powerhouse Rail, between Manchester and Leeds. It was a commitment reaffirmed in our manifesto in November 2019 and last month reaffirmed in the Prime Minister's conference speech in Manchester. Were the voters of the North right to take the Prime Minister at his word?
Prime Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, and they should and they should wait and see what is unveiled tomorrow, where, Mr. Speaker, he may learn something to his advantage.
A point of order, Michael Fabricant.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I've just received on the wires that the Leader of the Opposition, and I didn't hear this at the time because of so much noise, called the Prime Minister a coward. Surely that is in breach of Erskine May and improper and should be withdrawn.
Can I say there was a lot of language that I couldn't hear today, and I certainly don't want words. Coward is not what is used in this House, and I'm sure that Leader of Opposition would withdraw it.
I withdraw it. But he's no leader.
Tim Farron, point of... Pushing it today, come on.
Mr. Speaker, alongside the honourable members for Bermondsey and Old Southwark and for Ruislip, Northwood and Pinner and our friend in the other place, the Bishop of Durham, we've been pressing ministers in the Home Office to permit a cross-party visit to the Napier Barracks. On September the 7th, the Minister for Future Borders and Immigration declined our request for an in-person visit, and indeed the Home Affairs Select Committee were also refused a visit in July. On October 27th, we again requested an on-site visit and asked the Minister to respond by November the 10th. We have still yet to hear anything. Despite the Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration and Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Prisons finding earlier this year serious concerns and failings in the provision of accommodation at Napier Barracks, the Government has extended the use of Napier Barracks to 2025 and stated the site will be used to pilot design of future accommodation for asylum seekers. So you can see, Mr. Speaker, that a visit is now more than pressing. Could you advise me, Mr. Speaker, whether it is in order for the Government to refuse access to this important site to Members of Parliament?
Can I first of all say I'm grateful to the honourable member for giving notice of points of order. It is for the Government to decide whether to invite members to visit the barracks. That said, the use of the barracks has been a matter of public concern and debate, and of course I would always encourage the Government to agree to such requests from honourable and right honourable members, not least to ensure that they are able to hold the Government to account in a well-informed manner. I accept that there are occasions where it is legitimate for the Government to refuse a request for a visit, for example, on security grounds, and I should stress that I do not know any reason for refusal in this case. However, the Government benches will have heard my view that, in principle, I would hope that such requests for visits can be accommodated, and at the very least, I hope that Home Office ministers will discuss the matter properly with the honourable gentleman, and I hope that that doesn't take too long to contact him. Point of order, Martin Docherty Hughes.
Grateful, Mr. Speaker. I had no intention to take a point of order until I heard the Prime Minister's answer to my honourable friend, the member for Wrexham, in relation to their chairing the subcommittee on women in the armed forces. The Prime Minister indicated a parliamentary inquiry, I think, based on that report. Given that we've seen a tenfold increase in the reporting of rape and sexual assault of women under the age of 18 in the armed forces, can you advise the House why the Government and the Prime Minister today making a statement, not meeting the demands of my right honourable friend, the member for Wrexham, and also implementing the Wigston review?
What I would say is, it's a continuation of the question earlier. What I would say is we do take seriously the point that's been made. What I would say is the member concerned, the member for Wrexham, if she feels that she needs a statement or an UQ could possibly be an answer to her wishes to continue it, I'm sure that it could be looked favourable upon. Right, no further points of orders. We now go, well, it's very quiet. I now go to the presentation of the bill. Angus Brendan McNeill. Thought you'd got that.
Sorry. Peerage nominations, disqualification of party donors bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday the 26th of November.
Friday the 26th of November. Thanks, Angus. Thanks a lot. We now come to the 10-minute rule motion, disposable barbecues. I now call Robert Lager.
Mr. Speaker, I
I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to prohibit the use of disposable barbecues on open moorland, to give local authorities the power to regulate the sale of disposable barbecues in their area and for connected purposes. This year alone, at least 2 wildfires have been caused by disposable barbecues in High Peak, destroying hectares of farmland and environmentally significant peatland. In 2019, a fire in Marsden Moor, near Huddersfield, raged for 4 days and damaged over 700 hectares of moorland. A similar fire in April 2021 caused an estimated £200,000 worth of damage. In addition to this crude financial cost lies an environmental one. This is damage that will take hundreds, if not thousands of years to repair, with peat accumulating at a rate of around just 1 millimetre per year. Distressed sheep farmers have also conveyed to me the pain that they have experienced being forced to clear up the charred remains of their own livestock. Mr. Speaker, every year from the spring to the summer, communities across the country live in fear of wildfires that are entirely avoidable. A local gamekeeper once told me that there are 3 main causes of wildfires: men, women and children. But more specifically, a large number of fires are caused simply by people not disposing of their barbecue properly, leaving it unattended on the ground where its residual heat or a stray spark are enough to start a fire. Mr. Speaker, the aims of this bill are simple: to reduce the risk of wildfire and protect our beautiful countryside, to protect local communities faced with the threat of wildfires, to protect hard-pressed farmers' livelihoods, and to protect carbon-capturing peatland, which is so vital in our fight back against climate change. And this last point is particularly important, especially given the recent climate change agreement in Glasgow. The Glasgow Agreement is an important step forward. 65 countries have committed to phasing out the use of coal power. Some of the world's largest car manufacturers have agreed to make all new car sales zero emission by 2040, and the leaders of 90% of the world's forests have pledged to end deforestation by 2030. But alongside vital international cooperation, let's not forget the importance of nature-based solutions to climate change. Peatland restoration is an essential part of this. Wet, healthy peat soils absorb and trap carbon dioxide. Worldwide, it is estimated that peatland contains more than 550 gigatons of carbon. That's more than stored in all of the world's forests put together. In regulating the flow of groundwater, restoring peatland also reduces the risks of flooding, improves water quality and enhances biodiversity. Since being elected, I have actively campaigned for the restoration of our local peat moors. I used my very first question in this House on this subject, and I'm proud to have secured a significant increase in funding for this vital work. I wholeheartedly welcome the Government's England Peat Action Plan to restore, sustainably manage and protect peatland, as well as the increase in the nature of a climate fund to £750 million by 2024-25, with the aim of restoring 35,000 hectares of peatland across England. And I've seen firsthand the fantastic work that this funding makes possible. On Brown Knoll and Rushop Edge, one of the highest hills in the Peak District, Moors for the Future Partnership have been hard at work restoring peatland. And recently I took my right honourable friend, the Farming Minister, to meet Hope Valley farmers and to see the work on Brown Knoll. And I'm encouraged by the leadership the Government have shown on this issue. But this work is meaningless if we are to continue to allow a reckless few to continue to destroy this precious resource by wildfire. Mr. Speaker, I didn't come into politics to tell people how to live their lives, and this bill certainly doesn't set out to do that. But as a Conservative, I firmly believe that we hold a duty to future generations, not only to conserve what we have today, but to leave them with a greater inheritance than our own. While this bill represents only a modest change to the law, it would be a mistake to overlook its significance. And the aims of this bill are not new. In fact, they build on work that a range of organisations have already undertaken. The New Forest and Peak District National Park authorities, for example, have already banned the use of disposable barbecues within their boundaries and call for local retailers to stop their sale. I've had considerable success in convincing retailers to remove them from sale within High Peak and pay tribute to responsible businesses like Morrison's who've removed them from sale in their Buxton store. The Co-op have also removed display of disposable barbecues in 130 of its stores that border national parks. The National Fire Chiefs Council, Greater Manchester Fire Service, moorland associations, Moors for the Future and the National Trust, among others, have all warned of the danger that disposable barbecues present and have called for tougher regulations of their use. This bill does just that. While the Countryside Code already sets out an expectation that visitors should only barbecue where it has been deemed safe to do so. There is no law that enforces this guidance. Without one, there is widespread confusion and ignorance, sowing the seeds for future wildfires. This bill seeks to clarify the law, banning the use of disposable barbecues on open moorland. I'm incredibly grateful to colleagues on both sides of this House for the positive cross-party support that this bill has received. I've worked hard with a range of partners to ensure that this bill is fit for purpose, and I will keep working in a bipartisan spirit to do so. I'm aware that, as a 10-minute rule bill, there is little chance of this bill progressing into law at this stage. Nonetheless, I seriously urge the Government to listen to the concerns raised in this bill and to act on disposable barbecues, as well as redoubling their efforts to promote and educate people on the Countryside Code. To prevent wildfires, to protect farmers' livelihoods and to build up our existing defences against climate change, this bill presents a small but significant way forward. Mr Speaker, with this in mind, I humbly request for this bill to be given due consideration and to be passed into law.
Can I first of all say personally thank him for the bill, as he knows I was affected with those severe moorland fires in my constituency. That the honourable member to have leave to bring in the bill. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare to bring in the bill?
John Barron, the Right Honourable Karen Bradley, the Right Honourable Damien Green, Andrew Gwynn, Simon Hoare, Helen Hayes, Kevin Hollinrake, Simon Jupp, Jason McCartney, Manira Wilson, the Right Honourable Sammy Wilson, and myself, Mr Speaker.
Robert Largan.
Disposable barbecues bill.
Second reading what day?
14th of January.
Send money to their loved ones in Africa.
We're going with
SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your email and phone number. That's it. You're good.